Welcome to Move the Chains with Jonathan Rivers. Here's your host, Jonathan Rivers.
Let there be football. Welcome to Move the Chains. I'm Jonathan Bam Rivers. My full reactions to Championship Sunday. The great thing about it is this is a weekly show, so you get to listen to me after you've heard everybody else give their takes. And I'm just going to break this stuff down the way it happened. No excuses, no holds barred. Also in the show today, why? Why? It's a question that a lot of people are asking. It's the question that I have today. So I'm introducing a brand new segment, and I'm going to answer some of those questions that I'm posing to you and also to myself regarding the NFL. And in my nonsense narrative, let me tell you something, man. When you don't get something done, sometimes it's just as simple as that. And I'll explain all of that in my nonsense narrative. You're not haunted, all right? And listen, at the end of the day, there are some people, some individuals in every walk of life that simply make situations better. And there's a rookie quarterback, you probably know who I'm talking about, who is just that kind of guy. All that and more right here on Move the Chains, but you know how we do it. Let's kick it off with first down. All right, so again, such a phenomenal Sunday last week when it came to Championship Sunday. Oh, and by the way, your boy went 2-0. I think that puts me at 9-3 in terms of the playoffs this year. So we're on a streak here on Move the Chains. We're getting the job done. But I want to go into both of these games in detail, and I really want to break it down because it's, I know we live in a highlight society and things of that nature, but there are so many small intricacies and plays throughout the story of a game that tell the whole story. And I know sometimes people don't want to hear that. They have their own judgment. And, of course, when I talk about this first game, people are going to have their reasons on why what team won and what team didn't because it's the same low-hanging fruit that they always use. But let me go ahead and start right here with this graphic. In the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs were able to beat the Bills 32-29. Now, this is the fourth time that the Bills under Josh Allen have lost to the Chiefs under Patrick Mahomes, also the Bills under Sean McDermott, and the Chiefs under Andy Reid. And I want you to take a look at what this game is. For everybody that says that the Kansas City Chiefs and their offense is not that good, this is a team that was balanced just like Buffalo. I told you these teams were mirror images of one another going into the weekend, and I told you that I thought Buffalo would have to be more explosive than Kansas City, and they wouldn't be able to do it. Now, I also want to focus on the last statistic here before we go to the video. And I also want to say I was wrong in one thing. I said whoever would lose the turnover battle would lose this game. Kansas City turned it over once on the fumble where they were about to go up possibly 14-3, but they were still good enough to win this game. Look at the penalties. 5 penalties to 6 for the Bills. Now, the yardage is 17 yards, but the way people would talk, they would act as if the Chiefs were guilty of 1 penalty and the Bills of 18. And I know what you may be saying now. Hey, well, the penalties for the Chiefs didn't hurt as much as the penalty for the Bills or the fourth down call or whatever. But as we go to the video, this is what I want to tell you. There were certain times when you look at a team and you could have played them in the regular season. You could have played them twice in the regular season. You could have played them 3 or 4 times in the past in the playoffs, and you'll know everything they're going to do. And this is why I think this matchup was so intriguing, because you know what was unfamiliar about each team to the other? Nothing. And yet, in its level of familiarity, Kansas City was able to make themselves unfamiliar to Buffalo. Because the fact that Steve Spagnuolo, who's a prime defensive coordinator in this league, if not the best, is able to show you a corner blitz that they rarely do and do it at the end of the game in the most important moment. And not only that, but Buffalo wasn't able to slide the protection the right way. So what Kansas City did was able to work in that moment, tells me that the familiar between these two teams became unfamiliar to Buffalo. The fact that Kansas City had the ball at the end of the game to close out the game after Buffalo had it and couldn't come through on a 4th down call on that blitz, and Kansas City was not only able to pick up 1 first down, but 2 first downs via the pass in a game to where if they throw incompletion, the clock stops and you give Buffalo an opportunity to get the ball back again late in the 4th quarter, is where the familiarity became unfamiliar to Buffalo. And I also want to say this. Look at the first couple of drives of these teams, because everybody says it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. The truth of the matter is it's how you start and it's how you finish. Because how you start will have some type of indication and some bearing on how you finish this game. First drive for the Buffalo Bills, what did you see? You saw Josh Allen almost throw a couple of interceptions. You saw Buffalo have to punt, Buffalo get a field goal. And listen, it's something that I'm not saying shouldn't happen because it does happen. There is a level of heightened, I guess, nervousness to some point. And I'm not going to knock them for that because I understand they've been here multiple times and you shouldn't get nervous, but people do for whatever reason. That's what Buffalo was to start this game. But then I look at the juxtaposition of the Kansas City Chiefs in their first drive. When they go straight down the field and not only score, but score a touchdown. And Kansas City, I think, was perfect in the red zone in this game. Didn't it remind you of Kansas City against Baltimore in the AFC title game last year on the road where they went down in their first two drives and just scored touchdowns and completely knocked Baltimore out of who they were? Kansas City has the knack and the propensity to make you uncomfortable even if you're comfortable with playing them because you've done it multiple times. There is something about this team that is inexplicable, and there's something about this team that everybody knows. They are inevitable, and that's why Kansas City won this game, and they're playing in their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 years. Now to the NFC Championship game. I'm not going to sit here and act as if this game was not a good game. The score would tell you otherwise, but the difference of the game was turnovers. I think sometimes a lot of people try to be smarter than the room or overlook things. That was the name of this game. And the way I look at this is Philadelphia, 229 yards rushing and 230 yards passing. Now, I told you guys 2 things about the Philadelphia Eagles as we go to video. I told you, 1, stop worrying about the passing game and Jalen Hurts because there's not a problem there. The problem is a lot of people want Philly to win, and they want Philly to win a specific way. And the problem with that is Philly can win a multitude of ways. And this is the first play from scrimmage for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know everybody will say, man, Saquon broke another 60-yard run. Do you know that he wasn't touched for 15 yards? Literally was not touched until he was 15 yards downfield. I told you about that Commanders' rush defense. I said this game would be in Philly's favor because the Commanders struggled to stop the run. And that's been the truth in the previous 2 games where they played Philadelphia. So again, this was a game of familiarity. And even though you knew what it was, and let me just tell you this, guys, when you have 2 teams that know one another, most of the time you should take the better team because there are no surprises. And at the end of the day, Philadelphia's rush defense and them turning the ball over, and defensively, they don't just force turnovers, they practice forcing turnovers. It's been talked about all year with Vic Fangio and this young group of studs on the defensive side of the football. They fly to the football. They're very, very sound in their techniques, and not just gap sound. They're sound in leverage. They don't give up the edge a lot of times. They make sure they funnel everybody back towards the entire defense, and that's why they're always 7, 8, 9 men to the football when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And that guy, Jalen Hurts, I'll continue to say it, one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL. Now he's led his team to the Super Bowl 2 of the past 3 seasons, and it's a game I can't wait to see. All right, coming back after the break, why? You'll find out what that means right after this. More Move the Chains coming up shortly. And welcome back into Move the Chains. Before we get to second down, I want to take this opportunity, as always, to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for the ability to host Move the Chains. Secondly, I want to thank you, the fans, whether you're watching on Fox 4 or watching on YouTube, and make sure you go to the YouTube channel at @move_the_chains so you can check out how much I've gotten right this year regarding the NFL and not just game picks, all right? But I also want to thank my production crew. The work that they put in, the time that they spend is phenomenal. So shout out to the best production crew in the business. All right, you know what time it is. It's time for second down. Familiar with a rapper called Jadakiss? If you're not, that's fine. I just want to let you know that he's one of my favorite rappers. And he has a hit song, one of his hit songs, but it's called Why. And he goes through the song just asking a multitude of questions on why things are the way they are in the world. And I wanted to make a segment out of that, so shout out to Jadakiss. I know he's watching Move the Chains as well somewhere in New York, if that's where he is right now. But I've got some questions that I just want answered, and here's the first one. Why are the Chiefs in their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 seasons? Right? And everybody will come up with the answers. Well, you know, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, of course, and Steve Spagnuolo defensively. The answer is not no to those. I would say yes. But to me, the true answers are culture and the acceleration of the maturation process. So let me speak to the latter first. What do I mean when I say acceleration of the maturation process? And I want to cross-reference sports here for this analogy. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan, 3 of the greatest players in the history of all time, especially offensively, okay? What did they all do when they first got into the NBA? They were scoring at will, and they were doing it high-flying style, being able to dunk on anybody. Their bodies were like springboards. They could do anything they wanted to. And yet, as they got older, they looked even better. But why? Because they were able to develop a back-to-the-basket game. So now their post-up game took the place of their athleticism, and they were just as deadly, if not more deadly. In the Chiefs' first couple of seasons under Patrick Mahomes, they were an offense that everybody loved to see. Nobody ever questioned the Chiefs because they were putting up points, and this is what people love to see. Well, then now what you've seen in the past 3 or 4 seasons where they've won back-to-back championships and are on their way to possibly winning a third, the Chiefs have developed a back-to-the-basket game. They're now an efficient team. And I don't just mean offensively, I mean defensively as well. They are a team that make you beat them, and it's hard for you to do. So the maturation of this team in its accelerated state, in my estimation, is why they're in their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 seasons. All right, my next question. Why did the Cowboys make Brian Schottenheimer their head coach? So let me ask you this question, okay? And again, I'm not a defender nor somebody trying to kill the Cowboys. I'm an objective party. So if you took the names and the faces and the star away from this situation, and I ask you this question. If an owner had to make a new hire, and he hired a head coach that was on their staff previously as an offensive coordinator, whether he called plays or not, and he were a coach that had been in the league over a decade, who's understood different systems, been around a lot of different head coaches, and he's somebody whose father was a big-time head coach in the NFL for 2 decades or so, would that be a good hire? The majority of you would say yes. However, because it's Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, you think it's a terrible hire. I don't know how Brian Schottenheimer is going to be, but what I do know is he's in the best and the worst case scenario. He's in the worst case scenario because I don't think he literally said 2 or 3 words at his press conference. So obviously Jerry Jones is in charge, as he wants everybody to know. But there were no expectations for Brian Schottenheimer. Everybody's looking at him like he's a stooge. So if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, what I'm doing is I'm making sure I'm going to using my resources, going to those who I know more than me, trying to make sure that I surround myself with a staff of head coaches, kind of like Mike Vrabel is doing in New England. Surround yourself with the best that you can, and make sure that you can do your best and put the best team on the field. The Cowboys are not going to be expected to make the playoffs this year. And I'm telling you, they've been drafting well, they've been developing well. I'm not sitting here telling you they're going to do anything next year. I'm just simply saying Brian Schottenheimer is in a better position than a lot of people think he is. All right, and my last question. Why is Tampa Bay not viewed as an NFL power? I think, of course, I'm not even going to say the word biases. They're just narratives that are set, but I'll tell you this. 51-33 over the last 5 seasons. Only 5 teams have a better record than Tampa Bay in that time span. 6 playoff wins since 2020. Tampa Bay's tied for 3rd when it comes to that. Only 3 teams that won the Super Bowl since 2020, the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Bucs. And the Bucs have also been the only team in that span that have beaten the Mahomes and Reid-led Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Jason Licht, the general manager, has also been able to draft guys like Vita Vea, Pro Bowler. Levante David, fire, Pro Bowler. Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer. Bucky Irving, fire in his rookie season. Antoine Winfield Jr., all-pro in his first 4 seasons. Tristan Wirfs, all-pro multiple times in his first 3 or 4 or 5 seasons. Tampa Bay is a team that has been built the right way. And the transition from Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles, they didn't miss a step. The Chiefs have won 9 straight division titles currently. The Bills have won 5 straight. The Bucs have won 4 straight division titles. Yet nobody thinks they're an NFL power. Well, I'm here to tell you, they absolutely are. All right, when we come back from the breaks, my favorite segment is the nonsense narrative. And you'll want to hear it. It's not Halloween, but somebody's haunting. Man, give me a break. We'll move the chains right after this. Welcome back in to Move the Chains, man. I'm nonsense narrative. Go. Let's go. Now. So I wanted all the time I could take on this. Please give me my lower third, Ernest and Josiah, okay? I appreciate it. You see that guy right there? This is the guy that I profoundly respect. This is the guy that I think is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and this is the guy that I've continuously said is not yet elite. So all of those things can be true, right? They don't have to be mutually exclusive. But do you see the lower third? The Buffalo Bills are haunted. Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, Ed Oliver, they're haunted. What are we talking about, guys? So you're sitting here telling me that because the Buffalo Bills have not won a championship ever, and I know they went to 4 Super Bowls in the 90s, and they lost all 4. I was alive and watched all of them live, and I'm just saying, like, they're not haunted. They're just incapable of coming up with the right play at the right time to move on and win a Super Bowl. That's it. You know what? I wouldn't even give credence to this if they were the only team in the NFL that had never won a Super Bowl, but they're not. There are multiple teams that have never won a Super Bowl. What everybody wants, I think, is that Josh Allen, because he's so physically gifted, that, oh my God, he's so great, he has to win a Super Bowl. No, you don't, man. You're not guaranteed to win a Super Bowl, just like nobody's guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer. You see that guy right there, Lamar Jackson? Is anybody saying he's haunted? He's had worse playoff performances than Josh Allen. So why is Lamar Jackson not haunted? The only thing that I will tell you is that you have to stop assuming that a talent level, I told you this last week, talents don't equal titles. So the rhetoric, and Dan Orlovsky, I'm going to give you credit for this, and I love Dan Orlovsky. He came up with this, they're haunted, the most haunted franchise in the NFL. Now, I firmly believe as a Christian in generational curses, absolutely. But they're not haunted. They're just incapable of, one, beating the Chiefs, absolutely. And they're incapable of making plays. When you don't slide protections the right way, you lose. When you don't score in the red zone, you lose. When you miss a field goal in last year's divisional round playoff to try to beat the Chiefs and tie them to go to overtime, you lose. When you don't stop Patrick Mahomes from running the bootleg twice in a row, you lose. The Bills aren't haunted. They're just unable. They're two different things, so stop trying to make excuses for them. All right, when we come back from the break, it'll be the final drive. Back with the last segment of Move the Chains right after this. And welcome back to the show. My producers and my director and my YouTube managers, they're all getting on me right now. They're like, you lit up right now. I am, man. You're not haunted. All right, I'm done. It's time for the final segment of the show, which means it's time for the final drive. Some people improve situations. Point blank, period. That guy, whom I've said, again, go back and watch the show on YouTube. I've told you that Jaden Daniels was the best quarterback in this rookie class. I said he was better than Caleb Williams because Caleb Williams turned the ball over too much and this guy doesn't. He is an ultimate decision maker. He also has this aura about him. And you see that smile? He always looks the same, very stoic, very even keel. He doesn't get too high and doesn't get too low. And I can't say that about myself. This guy just knows what his team needs at the proper time. He's never played a down of defense, but could easily be the best player on that defense because of the way he's complimentary and lifts them to a new level. Jaden Daniels is a star, not in the making, but is a star. All right, don't forget, you can not only watch Move the Chains right here on the Sports Leader WXTX Fox 54, but you can also catch your boy and the team on YouTube. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe. It's at Move_the_Chains. Subscribe, like. Hey, another banger for the best production crew in the business and the best rookie in the game. I'm your boy, Jonathan Bam Rivers, and until next time right here on Move the Chains, God bless.